Before we actually get into my thoughts on the movie, I want to begin by saying to anyone who would like to avoid spoilers or are looking for a short answer, Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks is in my opinion a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it and recommend you give it a watch. If you liked Equestria Girls 1, you're going to like Equestria Girls 2. And even if you didn't like Equestria Girls 1, you still might enjoy Rainbow Rocks if you're a fan of the show. With that said, I did enjoy Equestria Girls 1, and I am a fan of the show. Coming into this movie, I was really interested to see what they would do with the established world and characters, and how they would build on it. I was also looking forward to the kind of music we'd be seeing in the movie, as it all seems to be centered around music, and I think the show and movies both have very good quality music. The movie begins by introducing us to our new villains, the Sirens. Adagio Dazzle, Sonata Dusk, and Aria Blaze. The latter of whom's name is never actually mentioned in the movie. The Sirens are a group of ancient creatures who were banished from Equestria a long time ago. They're able to stir up conflict and control others by singing, then feed off the negative energy created. I'll talk more about what I think about the Sirens near the end of this review. To be brief, they're not the most standout characters or villains, but I do like them. They do somewhat remind me of a couple of other girls. Or maybe even... After witnessing the events of the last movie, Adagio realizes that there is now equestrian magic in this world, and they intend to use it. With the evil plot established, we move into a really well done intro sequence, where we get not only a taste of the excellent music in this movie, but some really cool animation and a creative recap of the events in the previous movie, all in one neat package. Returning to Canterlot High, we see the school is back to normal and in the midst of getting ready for a musical showcase. Sunset Shimmer was not a character I liked much in the first movie. She was a very weak villain and did not have a lot of in-depth personality. But after being blasted with the magic of friendship, she's now become a redemption character, and one of my new favorite characters. Redemption characters often stand out more than characters who are just bad or just good. That gray line is something I think a lot of people can kind of relate with, and some people struggle between going back and forth. It's clear that Sunset is doing her best to leave her past behind her and make amends for her past actions, but a lot of the other students aren't buying it quite yet. Luckily, she's got a couple of good friends to help her get through it. A quick song to introduce us to the new band, the Rainbows. I wonder who came up with that name. We find out there's a little bit of magic happening when the girls play music. A short visit from Flash Century, whom I'll touch more on as we go. A little reminder of some of the things Sunset's done in her past.
The old me really was just awful, wasn't she?
And it's time for our villains to get a tour of the school, by Sunset, who fails to pick up on the hints of evil radiating from these three girls. She is trying to make a good first impression on these girls before they hear about the things she's done, so this could be why she's a bit nervous and doesn't pick up on it. It's been a long morning and it's finally time for lunch. Everyone's favorite...
Just follow my lead.
Or my lead.
My lead.
This scene is the most amount of character depth and interaction we get between the Sirens, fleshing out the little bit of individual personalities they all have and the way they react to each other. Our evil enchantresses begin to sing, and along with some awkward touching, brings us to my favorite song in the whole movie. Which is interesting, as helping Twilight win the crown is my favorite song in Equestria Girls 1. Must be something about that lunchroom. Our girls realize something is up, and after a failure of school officials to step in and stop evil, it leads them to calling out to Twilight for help. Now I'm a little disappointed here that Sunset, who was at one point Celestia's pupil and is clearly not a stranger to magic, doesn't seem to know anything much about what's going on. Sure, she picked up that something was going on, but you think she'd know a little more specifically about what's happening, instead of not having a clue at all and waiting for Twilight to explain the situation. Sunset reveals she has a way to get in contact with Twilight through Celestia via a book she used to write to her. I thought it was a little bit disappointing that Sunset's message didn't get directly to Celestia. It would have been nice to see the two of them making amends. Celestia keeping the mirror around, and Sunset keeping the book Celestia gave her, clearly shows that Celestia never fully gave up on Sunset, and as Sunset said, deep down she knew she was making a mistake. So somewhat of a missed opportunity, but getting another look at Twilight's new castle and seeing how she's settling into it was pretty awesome. Twilight pulls together some creative magic with science that only someone like Twilight could do, and just like that, she's back in Canterlot High. I enjoyed the little bit of hesitation between Twilight and Sunset, showing that they're not quite really the best of friends just yet. Twilight explains the situation to all of her friends give her the update on what's going on here, and once everyone's together, we get my favorite line.
Twilight?
Bumped into always doing.
Followed by my favorite scene.
Let's do this. Friendship is magic!
So, after the magic of friendship fails us, with a little bit of help from Sunset, Twilight decides that the best way to take on the Dazzling is to fight fire with fire and perform a counterspell of their own in the form of a song. Everyone heads to Pinky's for a slumber party as Twilight begins working on the counterspell. I really enjoy the slumber party scenes. They help take us off the main plot and give us a slice of life with the girls. Also, there's just something I like about sleepover stories. Look Before You Sleep being one of my favorite episodes to watch from the show. I think it's just the relaxing vibe the characters give off, having fun being themselves. And although Twilight is reassuring her friends she can write a counterspell, for someone who's so savvy with both magic and writing, and someone who breaks into songs often, she's having more trouble than she lets on. After everyone turns in for the night, Twilight heads down to the kitchen for a midnight snack. To keep working on the counterspell. She's clearly really unsure of what she's doing. Then comes in Sunset. This might just be the best, and certainly my favorite scene in the movie. Twilight and Sunset finally have a moment to just talk to each other. No one else is around, nothing is going on. The atmosphere is calm, the scene is set perfectly with the lighting, and the both of them now have a chance to talk about their problems to one another. They are two halves of the same coin, and although the choices they've made separate them, they are more similar than they know. This interaction helps bring their characters closer together on common ground that they can relate to. I wanted Sunset to offer help to Twilight, but maybe after hearing that now she's the princess of friendship, she thinks Twilight certainly doesn't need her help. And Twilight, who does need her help, can't bring herself to ask as she feels she must do this all herself. And now, even after talking and becoming better friends, it's these problems that keep them from solving the issue at hand here and now. So after the counterspell doesn't seem to be going so well,
Clap our hands with the magic of friendship. Gonna stop your evil plan.
it's decided that the girls will take part in the Battle of the Bands until Twilight can finish the counterspell. The girls start off strong with their song Shake Your Tail. Upbeat, energetic, and a pretty good song in my opinion. It would seem though that the rest of the students disagree as they proceed to sabotage the Rainboom's opening act. I love the chaos going on during the sabotage performance. Between Rarity and Fluttershy I was cracking up. Luckily the song is good enough to excuse the awful performance and get the girls through the first act. Then it's cue Battle of the Band montage to a very catchy Under Our Spell by the Dazzlings.
We've got the music makes you move it. Got the song that makes you lose it. You say jump, you say how high. Put your hands up to the sky.
This musical montage was very well done. From the countless background and sub-main character bands rocking it out, to some very appropriate cameos, and well timed to the music, gives us a good sense of other bands being knocked out of the competition and time passing to the final showdown. Conflict growing between the other students, and even the Rainbooms themselves. Twilight all the while running out of time. The animation, transitions, and timing to the musical montage was so well done for the Battle of the Bands. The only real issue I had with the musical montage was not getting to hear a Flash Sentry song. It just doesn't seem right, as Flash was already established to be someone who played music. He really could have used the character development here. I mean, we even get a song from Snips and Snails, but no Flash Sentry song? I guess making Twilight cry is the most character development he'll get in this movie.
I want this, Twilight, and you're trying to take it from me. Some friend. You really think you're gonna help them? I bet you have no idea what you're even doing.
The semifinals have arrived, and with only a few bands left, Twilight is running out of time. The tension between the Rainbooms is beginning to grow. A problem which isn't helped when Rainbow decides it's time to play her theme song for the semifinals.
There is nothing you can do to beat me. I'm
much to the dismay of her friends, especially Fluttershy, who would really like to have one of her songs played. Realizing Rainbow is about to reveal her magic to the sirens, Sunset, quickly thinking on her feet, ends their performance. Perhaps a tad extreme, but she was trying to be a good friend. Unfortunately, this backfires on her when both her friends and the whole school begin to put her down for ruining the act, bringing the girls to argue with one another as they know they've lost. I really like Trixie in this movie. In general, she's one of my favorite characters, and I think she's put to really good use in the role she plays in this movie, doing a very good job of stirring up even more trouble between the girls. Then, when all seems lost, with a little bit of suspicious persuasion from the Dazzlings, the Rainbooms advance to the finals, much to the shock of Trixie.
What?
The girls begin to set up on the main stage. Trixie, who is outraged the girls advanced over her, pulls a lever, trapping the girls beneath the stage.
Why do we even have that lever?
Night comes and the finals begin. The girls, still trapped, have mostly given up. Trixie begins to play her theme song, of which we only get to hear a few seconds of in the movie. This is really disappointing because it's actually a fully written out song, and it's pretty good.
Better believe I got tricks up my sleeve. See me dominate, 'cause I'm powerful and great.
Time is run out as the Dazzlings begin to sing their final song. Their plan has worked, and not only are they controlling the crowd, but are now feeding off of the magic within the girls. With the girls arguing with one another, and Twilight distraught from being unable to write a counterspell, Sunset steps forward and speaks her heart to her friends. It's with this that the girls realize they need to come together as true friends to defeat the Dazzlings. With a little help from Spike and Vinyl, they make their escape and begin a true Battle of the Bands face-off against the Dazzlings.
Hit us, nothing can stop us now. Oh, 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 I've got the music in me. Oh, oh, oh.
To one of Fluttershy's very own songs. As they play, the girls' magic begins to shine.
Let it all go now, just let it be.
As does the Dazzlings. And the Dazzling siren forms are actually pretty menacing. The Rainbooms appear to be putting up a good fight, but with one strong blast, the sirens overpower the girls, and all seems lost. I saw this coming from a mile away, and yet when Sunset picked up that mic and stepped forward to help her friends, it was one of the most awesome scenes in the whole movie. She really takes the stage and helps turn this thing around.
You're never gonna bring me down. You're never gonna break this part of me. My friends are here to bring me around. Not singing just for popularity.
And now, with the fully formed power of friendship, the Rainbooms are able to win the entire crowd and break the Dazzlings' hold along with their pendants, in one awesome rainbow blast of friendship. This scene was really funny.
We will be adored. Tell us that you want us. We won't be ignored.
And is it wrong that I feel a little bad for the Dazzlings here?
Guess that explains why these were so special to them.
With everyone back to normal, the girls have won and can finally rejoice. And now, not only has Sunset earned her place as a true friend, but she's also part of the band.
I also play guitar.
With the school safe, some good lessons learned, and some heartwarming goodbyes, it's time for Twilight to head back. The only thing left to do is to cue the credits with some awesome outro music. This song, Shine Like Rainbows, along with the credit sequence and very well done art, leave, pardon the pun, this movie on a very good note. So what did I think overall? Like I said, I enjoyed the first movie a lot. My only complaint with that movie was I thought the ending could have been handled better. Having the first movie establish the alternative world and getting used to it, I feel Rainbow Rocks did a really good job of following up on that and building on the existing narrative. There really was a lot I liked about this movie. From the plot, to the villains, to the idea of music being centered around the movie in a series where I find most of the music to be very good quality. The lighting, animation, and graphics were extremely well presented, and are the best the series has to offer to date. The writing had good pacing, with funny jokes and references, both in and out of show at the right times, a lot of good character development, characters like Pinky and Trixie were at their best, consistencies with both the previous movie and the series, good backstory, and paving the way for new stories based off of this in the future. Bringing me to my favorite part about this movie, Sunset Shimmer. Although already having its 6 established main characters, the movie does a good job of adding a 7th, and really fleshing her out into a strong, likable character. A new favorite of mine. The few things I have to say bad about this movie are mostly minor. Although I do like the Dazzlings, I feel like they could have had a little bit more character development and a little bit more screen time. Speaking of character development, Flash Sentry continues to be an underdeveloped character. I can understand why the writers continue to leave him this way. Though he did have considerably less development in this movie than the previous one, both him and the Sirens could be underdeveloped due to the time constraints of a movie. Also, the lack of Sunset's magical knowledge did bother me a little bit. This could be excused by saying she felt unsure she should say anything while Twilight was around. But if that were the case, I would just like to have seen that made a little clearer. With all of that said, you now know my thoughts on the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and if you heard anything here that sounded good to you, I strongly recommend you go give it a watch.
You may have vanquished the Dazzlings, but you will never have the amazing, show-stopping ability of the great and powerful Trixie! She's gone! Oh wait, there she is! Trixie's okay!
I hope you enjoyed my review and thoughts on Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks. Feel free to let me know what you guys thought, and until next time, I'll catch you later.